Speaking to the spirits is easy. You just speak. But hearing them back or getting a feeling of what they're saying, that takes some practice. And it takes going, yes, I think that was them. And then acknowledging it. Oh, Talia, was that you? I think I felt you. I heard you. Did you say this? And then something else will come over you that confirms it. But the locks on the heart, they have to go. And it's very hard to unlock those locks. After 14 years, I've unlocked a lot of locks, but there's still filters. So with that, I still go to the professionals.
2, 1, 0.
Hi, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion. My guest, Kim Klein, graduated from the University of California, Santa Barbara with a BA in Political Science with an emphasis in International Relations. She then earned her Juris Doctor degree and was admitted to the California State Bar. She began working with her then husband, Michael, in real estate investments and their high-tech companies. So we are talking about a person who was very of this world, a doer, a go-getter, an entrepreneur. And then something happened that opened her up to the world beyond. After giving birth to her daughter, Talia, Kim became a stay-at-home mom and devoted all of her time to raising her only child. But all that changed for Kim when on December 23, 2007, the small private plane carrying the then 13-year-old Talia, her father, and her friend crashed into the side of a volcano in Panama, killing Talia and her dad. Kim's heart and her entire belief system were shattered. Her work then became the impossible journey of healing from grief after such a devastating loss. From the moment she received that first tap on her wrist from Talia, she learned that life continues beyond death. Thus, her lifelong journey of healing, learning, and spiritual awakening began. My conversation with Kimberly was very interesting, and regardless of the pain that she went through, she is such a kind, open, and loving soul. And it was a real pleasure talking to her. I feel like a lot of people around me are starting to awaken. I feel like I used to be the woo-woo one with the pendulum, and recently a lot of people are almost like stepping out of their spiritual closet and sharing their experiences. It's becoming cooler to be more open to different dimensions and communications and different ways of manifesting your life. So without further ado, on to the show. Hello, Kim, and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, thank you. So before we dive into what you're doing today, can you share a little bit about how did you become more intuitive and more connected to the spirit?
So it's a little bit of an intense story.
Yeah.
So I'll start with my daughter. When she was 13, her and her father were on a small private plane in Panama, and it crashed into the volcano and they died. But that's horrific. But we didn't know what happened. We found out the plane was missing. And for 3 days, it was horrible. It was impossible to search. It was crazy. But during that time and before that, I was basically agnostic. And so it wasn't until the plane was found and we had confirmation that my daughter and her dad had died that I became spiritual. But I didn't just become spiritual just because, oh, now my daughter has passed away, I'm spiritual. No, it took a huge instance of a miracle. And that was after we found out for sure. I was lying down, sort of crying, sort of napping. And all of a sudden, I felt this hand around my wrist. It was just as if I had put my hand around my wrist and squeezed it. And I woke up from my crying nap and went, oh my God, Talia, her name is Talia. Is that you? Oh my gosh. And just then my phone rang, and it was a friend of mine who had been in contact with a medium. And she said, oh my God, Rebecca, the medium, said Talia wants you to get something off her wrist. And I was just unbelievably like shattered with, are you kidding me? And just then my phone beeped. I got it. It was Rebecca. She said, I know what Talia wants you to get off her wrist. And it was a bracelet. She said, it's a little rope with a gold coin. And I said, oh my God. I had given Talia the Mother's Day before that, a gold Chinese coin bracelet as basically a thank you for making me a mother present. And she wore it all the time. And it was her favorite thing. And it was on her wrist. And she wanted to make sure that I got that off her wrist. And it's impossible for that to not have been a miracle. And that was her. She confirmed it was her. And from that moment on, everything changed for me, not just because she was not in my life as a body, but because my entire belief system was shattered. I got communications. It was unbelievable. The most amazing, happy moments, really, because it confirmed that she was still with me in the middle of this horrible, traumatic moment of mine. And to this day, it's still my miracle moment.
13 when she transitioned, right?
Just 13.
Yeah. That's horrible. How did you cope with that grief? How did you help yourself? I know that grief never goes away, but how did you get yourself to a place where you're functioning in the world and are able to even help others?
So, you know what is so weird is that I never had that regression into a shell moment. I didn't lock myself up and grieve and cry for, weeks or months. It's because of her, because of that squeeze on the wrist, because of after that communication, then I was in contact with mediums and blown away. And what she was saying from the afterlife, like in Panama, I was talking to her through a medium from that point on. And she said, how much she loved her life, loved me, everything, how I raised her, made her the person she is, what happened when the plane crashed, how her and her dad were watching over her friend, all sorts of things. So because that communication was so absolutely unbelievable and real and true, it's like I bypassed that part that shut off, and it cracked me open to having this different relationship with her. And so I will never get over it. I still cry. I'm sad. I have moments, but I never go into a dark place where unfortunately a lot of people do. And that's what I want to help people get through, and to realize that there's more. There's so much more than they maybe know currently or believe that will keep them out or get them out of that dark shell.
Right. So it started with that squeeze on the wrist, and then what other type of messages? Or did you ever feel this type of physical reaction, like she's hugging you or she's with you?
Yes, from that point on through the years, now it's been just over 14 years. And I just can't believe it's been that long. But yes, many times I will feel her mostly hugging me from one side or touching my head, or when we driving was a big thing for us. We drove places all the time. We were always going out of town because she was a horse shower. And so she showed horses all over. So we'd always be out of town driving somewhere. And she'd always take my hand when my hand was on the gear shift, and she'd just have her hand on my hand. And to this day, if my hand is on a gear shift, I will then, not all the time, but I will then feel her, and I'll know that's her. It's an energy. Yeah. It's like, it's not me. It's not constant, but it happens. And sometimes if I'm driving and all of a sudden I just burst out in tears, I know it's because she just got there. So then I can talk to her. It is such a deep emotional feeling when she is around that I just burst out into tears.
So you started
It's
talking,
unexplainable, really.
yeah. You started talking with her through mediums. Do
Mhm.
you find that all mediums are equal? They all know their stuff, or some people are just making it up?
No, there are so many fakes out there, and that's the problem. The fakes and the frauds in the psychic world, there's so many that they actually turn people off to the legitimate ones, because there are very, very real psychics out there, whether they're a medium with hearing or feeling or seeing, however their mode is. There are real people and that are legitimate, but there are so many that are not. And I've gone to everybody from the person with the street sign in front of their building I pull over, to mediums that I've met through other people, through friends, famous mediums that take a year to get up to the top of their waiting list, that cost a fortune. I've done them all, and not everybody is real.
Do you
And
find
once,
that the more expensive one are the most legit, or that's just a myth?
no way, no, I haven't met an expensive one. Expensive meaning like six, seven, $800 an hour, up to $1,500 an hour. The famous ones that have TV shows, I haven't found that they're fake. Um, they're legitimate, the ones that I know that I've gone to, but they're not as detailed. I don't know if it's because they've learned that they have to just go quick, boom, boom, boom. And even if you have a one-on-one with them, they just see flashes and pictures and get impressions. Everything I've gotten from those have been real, but it's been very surface level. The mediums that I get detailed information, conversations, are mediums that aren't world famous, but are unbelievable. They have this gift. I'm really blessed to have my best friend be an amazing medium. Her name is Laura Stinchfield. She's called the pet psychic, but she also talks to people spirits, animal spirits, any consciousness. And thank God, she's like my lifesaver, because we will have three-way conversations. It's like you and I and my daughter, and we're talking in a conversation. And she's not the most expensive, and she's not the most famous, but she's amazing. And Rebecca, the medium that I had initially, amazing. It's like a one-on-one with my daughter. So I have a high expectation of what is possible with mediums. And I also have a really good radar for when they say something and I know that's not a legitimate
Yeah.
person.
So do you have right now, so do you still have to go to mediums to connect with her, or do you have direct conversations with her now? How is your psychic ability improved since the salting started?
Um, it went from zero that I knew about to amazing. The thing about psychic abilities is everyone has them. It's just not everybody knows they have them. And whether or not they believe, or whether or not they've been told it's a no-no, or they've been taught out of it, or they have never thought about it, it's an ability that really the universe has given to us. We have it. It's just a matter of tapping in. But it's the tapping in that's hard. And emotions are locks on the door to open it up to the communication. And I have a lot of emotions around my daughter, obviously. And so even though I hear her and I speak to her, speaking to the spirits is easy. You just speak. But hearing them back or getting a feeling of what they're saying, that takes some practice. And it takes going, yes, I think that was them. And then acknowledging it. Oh, Talia, was that you? I think I felt you. I heard you. Did you say this? And then something else will come over you that confirms it. But the locks on the heart, they have to go. And it's very hard to unlock those locks. After 14 years, I've unlocked a lot of locks, but there's still filters. So with that, I still go to the professionals, like mainly Laura and another couple mediums that I know, to get confirmation, or when I just don't feel like trying. And trying is a terrible word, because the minute you start to try, that's another it's, you just need to relax, but me being involved in it,
Right.
I get more.
Right. So, do we all have psychic abilities, and how can we develop them?
Okay. Yes, we all have psychic abilities. It's a matter of knowing that we have them, and taking away the filters or the disbeliefs that we can do it. A lot of people, when they grow up, they're told, no, you can't talk to spirits, that's evil or bad, or maybe they never even knew about the spirit world, or maybe it was preached out of them or taught out of them. Something made a filter or a lock on their natural abilities. So if somebody wants to and is willing to start cracking away at those locks and those veils, everybody has that ability. It's the birthright. And there's some things you can do once you believe that you want to do this, to start fostering your abilities to actually pick up on the communications.
What are some things that we can do?
Well, start with the little things, which are asking the spirit that you are trying to talk to for signs. And it sounds trite, a penny from heaven, coins like this, but it's really true. Ask for things that are little at first, so you can start building up a belief. So say, in fact, here's an example. My daughter used to leave me coins, and I thought, okay, that's great, but why don't you leave me a more obvious sign for me? Maybe a larger coin than a penny. So I left the house, and when I came back, right in the dirt on top of a plant and a planter in my house was a dime. Now, to me, that was so obvious, because one, that dime was not in my planter. Two, it was a dime, which was bigger than the penny. And three, it was right after I asked her, hey, will you please leave me a more obvious sign? And there it was. So with that, it was like, wow. And so it's critical that when you get a sign, if you think this is a sign, then it is a sign. And you need to acknowledge it, say thank you to the spirit, and please keep doing it. So I said, Toya, oh my gosh, thank you so much for leaving me that dime in the planter. I'm so happy. Keep doing it. Keep giving me bigger signs. I love this. And so you start requesting and acknowledging. If you don't acknowledge, pretty soon they're not going to put themselves out to leave signs if you're not acknowledging them.
How does a non-physical being leaves physical signs?
That is the question that the whole universe has. I cannot, I don't know. I don't know how that happens. It's just there. Some people say, like with birds or things like that, some people think that the spirit becomes that. I don't think that. I think the spirit guides that bird's spirit or that other animal's spirit. I don't think they became the animal. As far as money or moving objects, energy is a fascinating subject, because everything's energy, the universe, our beings, prayers. So somehow I think their energy is able to formulate the bonding of some other energy and make something. I just have no idea how it's done. It's a miracle as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, you can ask your daughter.
It's crazy.
That's what you
Yep.
can. Yeah, you can ask her. She probably is going to tell you.
I'm getting answers. I'm getting an answer. And it has to do with our thoughts form our reality. And so how our thoughts, if you put out, I am abundantly wealthy and thin and beautiful. And if your intent is there and you truly believe, that's what you put out, it comes back to you. Excuse me. That's how the energy makes the inanimate object. And I was getting that a minute ago. The energy was so intense of her thoughts or other spirit thoughts. My intent is to make this, that formulates That's what I picked up. I still can't explain it, but that's what I picked up.
That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I had so we had a stray cat that started coming to visit us in the last couple of months, 3 months, and he was very skittish, but we started feeding him, and he became like our cat. We called him Bibu, and I have a little son. He's almost 2.5, and he used to pet him, and he scratched him once, but I forgave him. And then a few days went by and he didn't show up to eat. And we didn't know what was happening. And on a Thursday night, I went to sleep and I kind of asked, "Oh, what's going on?" And I heard in my head, "I am dying." And then I got a
Mm-hmm.
vision of a place where he's like supposed to hang out. And then I got a vision of his body run down by a car. And
Oh.
in my head, I was like, I don't want those horrible thoughts. What is this? This is not true. Cancel, cancel, cancel.
Yeah.
But then on Saturday morning, we took my son for a little walk in the neighborhood, and my husband wanted to turn
Mm-hmm.
left, and I said, no, let's go right, because I was curious about that area he showed me. I was like, maybe I'm going to find him there. And we went there. We saw a big feather on the floor,
Mm.
and we picked it up, and then we came back, and my husband kind of like turned his head back, and on the road was what I saw in my vision.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very, very sad for us. And I also asked, like, I guess what I got is that, like, that the role in our life in of us in his life was just to share the love, and
Mm-hmm.
or he decided to move on. um and we had a few days of really grieving him, because he was really cute, and it's even if a few months you can get really attached to an animal. But that
Is that the
was that what?
is that the first time that you had like a psychic vision, or have you been working on it, or did you?
I've had a few sporadically throughout my life, but nothing like this where I could actually hear him in my head saying I'm dying. um and it's just like, the more I'm, because my husband is really into psychics right now. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
because his intention is about increasing his psychic abilities, just by being near him, I'm like, maybe I can do that too. but
Yeah.
it wasn't fun. It was a little scary to see that. It's like, okay, I want to develop my psychic abilities, but I don't want to see images like that. It's like, how? But you can control it, I guess.
It's so sad. I'm just thinking little kitty. But you know what? He did. The purpose was to have all sorts of love from you as his last memory.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah, but
boy.
how do we so, like, for me, like, yes, I want to increase my psychic abilities, but seeing something like that it's a little bit scary.
Yeah, if you ask for lessons, if you say universe or creator, whatever you call it, please help me learn. I need to experience communication or visions, but I don't want to be sad, or I don't want it to be hurtful. I just want something to show me so I can learn. The universe will help you with that. The creator will help you with that. In fact, with asking for something, if you want to heal somebody or heal a situation, you ask to be the conduit, and you ask for what's in the best interest of the situation. And in your situation, you would ask to learn, but please, in my best interest, keep it positive, something like that.
Okay. All right, because I know of
And you can also protection.
yeah, I can also what?
Ask for protection, but getting the messages, positive or negative, that's bad. We don't need a lot of protection for that, but spiritual protection is important to always have that.
Okay, so what's going on with spirits? Are there bad spirits that can whisper negative things in our ears? Can you talk a little bit about this type of realm, and how do we protect ourselves?
Yeah, I normally I try not to think of the bad or the evil because what you think of you attract. But
Right.
you to protect yourself, there's one easy way. You visualize basically from your heart your radiant light and energy coming out of you all around like a ball, so that you're in the middle of the ball. So your radiant energy comes out of you and it grows and it keeps expanding, and it's above you, below you, and around you, like you're inside of a bubble, and it goes into the ground and up to the heavens. So you're completely encompassed, and you say, please protect me from anything that is not good for me. And then you're in this bubble of protection. Now, it's important that you go below and above too. Some people just naturally think of protection as straight out, but you need it all around. It's a sphere. You can visualize that. You can close your eyes or keep them open. It doesn't matter.
What other lessons did you learn from Talia that were mind-blowing? Like things that she maybe you can share some things that she said in conversation that were really extraordinary for you.
So for me, everything she says is extraordinary because it's her speaking. And so not all of her messages are, huge lessons of the universe, but she does have lessons of the universe too. And that's a lot of what she says inside her books. Like The Universe Speaks, Heavenly Dialogue, which are books 1 and 2, are 2 books that basically she wrote. Yes, those are conversations from Talia, from the spirit world, just hundreds and hundreds, thousands of hours of just talking like you and I. And so her lessons of life, that spirits are common. Spirits can talk to you just like we're talking here. All that was an amazing lesson, because just talking about whatever, like, let's just talk. Oh, you had a nice day at work, didn't you? You would not think that a spirit would talk about just mundane things, but that's the lesson. The lesson is they're just like us because they are us, because we are spirits that are in the body. The spirits will talk to you on any level. So that's a huge lesson that I think a lot of people don't know, that you don't have to ask for something grand when you're talking to the spirits. They'll talk about anything. And sometimes it's the everyday things that make you the happiest, because you know that they're with you and they're paying attention. And it's just like they're here in their bodies, but they're not. Another thing that's kind of amazing is when you transition to heaven, right after you pass, there's this period of time where you review your life. And what she said was, you don't only just see what happened to you with all your things in your life, you look at the results of every decision you made, decision you didn't make, things you said, things you didn't say, everybody you interacted with, and how your interaction then geometrically went outwards and affected, like a web, many more. And so things you said and didn't say can have this huge effect, whether it was a nice, kind word or something not nice. And so that was really enlightening. Ever since I learned from Talia that every word you say, every word you don't say, every action and goes out geometrically and affects everyone along that web, it's changed me. It's changed how I think, what I do, what I don't do. It makes me really stop and think what the reaction is going to be in the universe. And it's important that I'm conscious of that.
Yeah, if everybody in the world would be conscious of that, the world wouldn't be that hard these days, because I just feel like people, especially on social media, especially on chats. They just say whatever. There is no filters, and it's so easy to be a bully behind the keyboard. And I'm thinking that if
Mhm.
people have this understanding of the ripple effect of what they are doing to people and to the people around them, maybe they will drop more in their heart and act more with kindness toward one another. Even if somebody disagree with you, you don't have to slap them for that.
Exactly. I call it the concentric rings of your actions. When you walk into a room and it feels really good, the energy that's been spinning around that room from conversations or actions was a positive bit of energy. If you walk into somewhere and it feels really bad, then was that was bad energy from conversation or actions or whatever. So knowing that, you need to be very conscious of it. So I believe a lot of what Kabbalah teaches. And for me, just the red bracelet helps me remember in weird circumstances, like driving through parking lots, um, be nice. Oh, I have it. Sometimes you're just so frustrated and there's a negative thought, that I look over and I see that little red bracelet and I think, okay, remember concentric rings of my intent, of my energy. So be nice.
Yeah, and my husband and I used to go to the Kabbalah Center in Los Angeles. We really love that. We love the teachings, and you don't have to be Jewish to learn to study Kabbalah. It's kind of like ancient self-development, and it really brought us together and helped our
Mm.
relationship as well. And we're still coaching with my former Kabbalah teacher. Still coaching with him
Oh,
almost every week. Yeah, we love that. We really enjoy all those lessons.
yeah, it's great.
How long have you been into Kabbalah?
Um, I'm going to say maybe 14 or 15 years. I've always, right, about 14 years, right after Talia. Then
Mm,
I started kind of looking around for things to read. And it's interesting because you're right. It has nothing to do with being Jewish. Anybody and all religions can study Kabbalah. In fact, I was mostly introduced to it by someone who was Catholic. And I thought, what? You're learning Kabbalah? He said, it has nothing to do with religion. It is about how to live life and how to be with people and positive. What's our purpose on earth and how to get to heaven. And I thought, that's amazing. So that's really what got me into studying more.
yeah. And so, when did you start coaching people and doing intuitive coaching?
So officially, as I added it to my website about 3 years ago, for intuitive coaching, but really probably 8 or 9 years ago, it came naturally because as I learned, um, I would just talk to people and they would seem to come to me with a need for advice on this or with that. And so I would just talk to them and it would help them out. And so I thought, I really like helping these people through this. Most of the people were, wanting some information and some healing because they lost somebody. Because I would meet
Mm,
them at a spiritual book show or
right.
something like that, and they would ask me, "Hey, I saw this and this. Do you think that was a sign for my loved one?" So I started to evolve my helping at those places, but then people would call me and then they would say, "Hey, my friend said that you have some information that will help me get through to my daughter or my son or whatever." And so that's how it really started.
Mm-hmm.
And then a
And
few years ago I thought I'll do it professionally.
and when you do that, do you channel? Like, what's the process like for you?
So no, I go with, I call it my instinct, but my instinct is connected to the universal field of information. And so as I listen to somebody and as I start talking and having some sort of a conversation, all of a sudden I will just start saying certain things. And it's not a channeling, it's not the spirit talking through me. It's me, it's my feelings and my words, but I'm getting the inspirations. They're just coming from somewhere. So that's how I would channel through me the right things to say that would help that person. And I would never say that I got that as another spirit. That's definitely just my instincts connected to the universe. And when I help people professionally, if they call and want to have a intuitive counseling session, I help them get in touch with their own spirituality. I don't want to give them answers and say, I think you should do XYZ, and your best interest is to go over here. I don't do that. I ask them enough questions. Well, what did you feel when you thought about that? So why don't you ask yourself this question and then sit with it, surrender, and tell me what you feel. If you will feel what's right. In fact, I have a really good example for this. And I've never had this happen before. It was years ago. I was in line to board a plane, and all of a sudden I just started having heart palpitations. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? And it was nerve-wracking. And so I thought, I'm not supposed to go on this flight. So I stopped and I said, am I supposed to go on this flight, to myself? And it kept pumping. I was having anxiety. And then I stopped and I said, I'm not going on this flight. And then it stopped. I was relaxed and I thought, wow. So I got out of line and I did not go on that trip. Now, nothing happened to the plane. And the thing is, you might never know why you weren't supposed to do that thing or why you were supposed to do the other thing. But the why really doesn't matter. It's that you listen to what your instincts are telling you because you're getting information from somewhere. And so as soon as my body said, it released, no, don't go. That was it. I left, I got my things, and I just didn't go. It was a little weekend trip. I didn't go, and everything was fine. And I have no idea why I wasn't supposed to go. But that is what I want people to learn, how to pay attention to their own messages.
Mm-hmm. And how do you pay attention? You just listen to your body? Is that a physical reaction? Do you hear voices in your head? What is it like for you?
So for me, it's all feeling. It's all physical. Even when I hear from Talia, it's not her voice. It's a thought. Some people do hear the voices. Like my friend Laura, she hears the voices. I feel and pick up the thought. But your body is like, it's like a fuse box of lights. It's like certain things will affect you. So if you are doing something and then you start to feel queasy, okay, or if you're doing something and your head starts to hurt, or you're feeling like a numbness, it's not always just something physically wrong with you. It could be your body saying, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you for a few minutes, but you're not listening to the thoughts. So here it is. It's like a little doorbell. Then if you just quiet yourself and just surrender all thoughts and say, what do I need to know? Then your gut, you might hear it as a thought, you might hear it as a word, or if your body will answer the questions, like for me, should I do this? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Peace. So I feel it as a feeling in the body.
Yeah. One thing I started doing lately, I don't remember who taught me that or where I heard it. It's just because I used to use the pendulum a long time ago and then I stopped. And then you basically use your body as a pendulum where is this right for me? And then your body shifts right or left. And I started doing that. It was pretty cool.
Yes.
It's just like when you allow your body to give you the answer and then you have to listen. Because sometimes the body gives the answers, but we don't listen. We're just like, that wasn't strong enough. Isn't intuition is like
That's
more
exactly
like a whisper. It's not that loud sometimes.
Exactly. It's a little whisper or a little blow of the wind. It's not going to come knocking on the door with, bats. You really have to quiet yourself and don't expect someone to slap you on your face. So a lot of people actually have so much stuff going on in their lives that it blocks them from feeling all those little signs.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Because you froze. Hmm, what is going on?
We're having a crazy time with
I
this.
know. What is going on? What the freak?
If it's screwed up and you want to redo it, I'm okay with that. I just couldn't do it today.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I will check to see if we got it or not. Because I mean, there was so many beautiful things in this. I want to keep that, and I like it when it's so fresh.
I know. I love how in touch you are. I mean, everything you've said is so exactly what my goal is to have people learn.
Thank you. That's very sweet of you. I appreciate
It's true. It's like, wow.
it. Where were we? So, oh God, where did we stop? Do you remember?
On being able to feel that the messages come through.
Okay. Um, I guess you can start with it's not gonna give you a slap on the face.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. So an example of somebody wanting, a slap in the face warning of something. My husband, he says, if the spirit's going to talk, why can't they just talk louder? And why can't they shake me? And why can't they just appear? And then I'll know. And I said, because that's just not how it is. I mean, first of all, the spirits are energy and it takes their energy to do things, which is another reason why signs that you get are so delicate. It's great power, but it's focused to a delicate sign in my book, a little miracle or a huge miracle. So once you believe in one miracle, you should automatically open up to all miracles. And so I believe, yes, there's an afterlife. And so I believe that afterlife and the universe can talk to me. And talking can be with words or it can be with feelings. And for me, it's a lot of feelings. And so people need to be aware that it can come as any kind of form. It could come as a word, or it could come as a feeling or a gut instinct. In fact, gut instinct is what most people call it, but it's really a communication from the universe or from their loved ones about something they need to know.
Yeah. Sometimes I do want to be shaken. Just tell me what's going on.
Oh, I would love it. I would love that. I would love a visual right here.
Right. Or just send me a text. I mean,
Oh my gosh.
if they can form a coin, they can send a text. Wouldn't it be lovely?
It would. What's interesting is they do mess with technology. Like my mom, she used to get from Talia phone calls. And what's interesting is her phone would ring and it would be from my daughter's phone number, but there would be nothing there. And my mom said that it even happened after she deleted the number from her
Oh
phone.
my God, I got goosebumps.
So I know I don't get those things, and it makes me mad. I'm like, why can't I get that? But I get huge things, so I should listen to my own advice. A miracle's a miracle. Like one time, I had this miracle happen. I was going into this perfume store. I love gardenia, and when I came out, I got in my car, and this is mind blowing. There was a gardenia flower in my car, and I thought it was on the floorboard. What the hell? I took a picture of that gardenia. This day I have the picture and it blows me away. I don't understand how that is possible, but it is possible. And so like I have a spiritual teacher and he would say, it doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter why. It just is.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's the most powerful thing.
Yeah.
Did you ever ask your daughter about what's going on in the world today? Because we're going
Yeah.
through so much, like so many turbulences. Everything's different. Life is very different, and especially for our children, life is very different. Have you ever asked her about it or got any positive message about it?
So I haven't asked her specifically about what's the state of the world and the people in years, because basically I don't want to focus on the negativity that's happening.
Mhm.
So I usually stick to happy things or events. But I do know that there's a fight in the spirit world, and the fight's real, and it's over man's decisions. This might even be in the book. This could possibly be part of the Conversations in the Universe Speaks. I don't remember everything. But there's a fight in the spirit world over basically light and dark, man's decisions and desires, the good versus the not good. And so that's huge right now. And what happens in the spirit world happens in the physical world. So we'll see. That's all I have about that one.
I'll just have to tell the spirits to stop fighting and everything's going to be fine.
Well, the good has to be true, but the good's going to win out. It's just a matter of beating down the bad.
I mean, it always happens. The good always wins. I mean, look at any Hollywood movie, or most of them.
Yeah, no, the good will win. It's just a matter of getting there.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for everything you shared today. It was really nice. Thank you for sharing from your heart and sharing your story about Talia, and showing up the way you are in the world, helping people with that, helping them get over grief, and helping them connect and be more conscious, and helping them with your intuitive advice. Before we say goodbye for now, I have two questions. One,
yes,
is what are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life? And the second one is, where can people find you?
Okay. Tip 1, be conscious of your thoughts. That's everywhere, but really do it. If you need a reminder, if you're not into Kabbalah with the red string, then do something else. That when you're about to have a negative thought, if you see it, cut it off. The other tip, take time every day to just pause and basically purge all your thoughts. Just pause and relax, because that will start cutting away at the boundaries, and you'll start being able to hear your intuition more. And the third tip, believe. Belief is very powerful. If you have a deep belief, then anything is possible. So, and where my books are, you can get them on Amazon or at all the bookstores. And if they don't have them in stock, then you ask them to order them. They can be had from any bookstore, New Leaf Distribution or Amazon. So that's really it. And I have another book besides those that are that's out, and it is called, I'll hold it up a little bit. This one, Seeds of Wisdom.
Oh, nice.
That is a book of daily quotes. I took all of Talia's like mind-blowing messages from The Universe Speaks 1 and 2, and I took just her messages out and I put it into a quote book in case people don't want to read everyday conversation. They can get inspiration and spirit lessons from that book.
That's beautiful. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you, listeners. Remember to connect to your intuition and take the time to just relax your thoughts every day so you can connect, and choose good thoughts, because whatever you think of, you manifest. And believe in yourself, believe in higher power, believe that you are guided, protected, and loved, and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.